certified they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, Deborah Smith Palmieri.
I'm Ellen
Good
Zappa.
morning.
Nancy Turner, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
My name is George W. Henry, inmate number 309763.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for George Henry, inmate number 309763. He is serving a sentence of 7 years, suspended after 3 years, followed by 3 years of probation for criminal possession of a firearm and possession of intent to sell. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of February 1st, 2025. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed voices on September 10th, 2024. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the high range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Henry, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Yes, first to commence, I want to thank the board for giving me this opportunity to express myself and why I should be released in the community. Honestly, I feel I needed this time to sit and reevaluate myself on my decisions I've been making that led me to being incarcerated. I've been let down. I've let my family down. I've been selfish with my actions. I disappointed my kids and my family, especially my daughters who fell victim from my actions. And those are the ones who suffered and hurt the most. While being incarcerated, I have signed up for Voices and NA and AA programs, even though I wasn't receiving any credit. I felt that that would help me with my incarceration. I signed up for vocational schools. I applied for a janitor job and trying to make my time valuable while I'm here. The programs I applied it to my rehabilitation process. I learned in Voices that there's also victims in all crimes committed, even low offender crimes. I learned that there are different kinds of abuse other than physical abuse, financial, there's verbal abuse and mental abuse. I came up with a plan of, if I was granted parole, I came up with a plan of keeping me from making bad decisions, reoffending, and joining the wrong crowd, and falling back in the same actions that caused me to be incarcerated. I worked on my online restaurant business. I have an employment lined up upon my release. And also I have took the time out and reevaluate, like I've lost being a father. That's mostly what I reflected on. Like I let down my family. It's been rough, like being away from my kids. And when I talk to my kids every day, I just felt like I haven't hold up the job of being a father, because I showed them like going to jail is like a big letdown. And, you know, I just wanted the opportunity to show them that like I could change and I could be a successful citizen in the community. And I take full responsibility for my actions for being in jail. The drugs I sold, the gun I purchased was totally on me. I blame me and no one else. I just want to apologize to the community and my family for letting them down, knowing I could have done better and I knew better.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. I appreciate you putting together a statement like that. It's good to hear what you're thinking, you know, how you spent your time. We're going to ask you some questions and then we'll make the decision about parole at the end. Deliberation. You know, I just, your last words were, what were they? You let people down, you're disappointed. I have to say, in reviewing your file, I felt the same way. You know, yet you had a nice chunk of time where you were living in the community and, you know, must have been doing okay, 2012 to 2017. You know, they weren't really doing it, and then things started to, then they seemed to have started to fall apart again.
Yes, ma'am.
What is that all about? Why do you think you fell back into this old habit of selling drugs and carrying guns?
Well, it started off when I lost my employment in 2015. So I just, I fell back in the same crowd, the same friends, and I just started making bad decisions all over again.
I mean, you had some decent work history. Why couldn't you find another job?
With my record I have from past 2002, it's hard getting a decent job with decent pay with a felony like that on my record.
No, I know it's difficult. You know, around those times, I was working in the community in reentry. We had a lot of people find jobs. Maybe it's not your dream job, maybe it's not the perfect job, but it's a job that pays the bills.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Maybe you need two jobs. You had two small children at that time.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I'm not sure that, from my perspective, I would say maybe you didn't put the effort into it that was needed.
I agree with you. I agree. I didn't. I chose the easy way out. I chose the. Like again, it's all about decision making. I felt I have two kids and I have to provide for them. So I chose the wrong path. I chose the easy way out. I take all accountability on that note.
I mean, it's clear through the pre-sentence report, through your discussions with parole, and the transcripts, you do take responsibility.
Yeah.
You do sort of hedge a bit about the drugs that you were arrested with. I get the impression that, you think being arrested with marijuana is less of a crime maybe, or less egregious than being arrested with heavier drugs like cocaine, which is what they did find in your house. I know you dispute it, and I know you pled under the Alford Doctrine. So I'm sure it sounds like there was some, agree to disagree there.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just going by what I've read in the warrants and what they seized at the time of the arrest.
Okay. Honestly, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. Honestly, I took a plea on that, but I'm gonna be truthful with you. I don't mess with hard drugs. I stay away from that. I don't mess with hard drugs. I didn't know what all that was about, but
Well, and I'm gonna
I landed myself in that position, so I got to take what comes with it. At the end of the day, I was still doing something illegal, so I gotta, I gotta take full responsibility on what my case upholds. So,
responsibility. So I did read at various points that you took responsibility for the marijuana. You denied having the cocaine, and I did see that you pled under the Alford plea. So I do think that there was some give and take there at the time of the plea.
Yes, ma'am.
My point of all of that, though, is drugs are drugs.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Whether you're selling large amounts of marijuana like you were, or cocaine or heroin, they're all drugs, and they all affect people's lives, ruin people's lives, regardless of what they are.
Yes, ma'am.
Different effects. And the firearm had the serial number scratched off.
With that, I take, I didn't do it personally when I purchased the, firearm, that's how it came. But, like, again, I have to take accountability because it's in my possession, so that's how when I purchased it from who I purchased it from, that's how it came. I didn't physically do it myself, but I take full responsibility for it. It's in my possession, so I'm not gonna point the finger at nobody else.
Right, and I pointed out, because if that's done so the gun can't be traced, usually because they're stolen, or like you obtained it illegally, because you have a conviction for a gun, so you know.
Yes.
You know, and you've had a couple of violations, you are a prohibited person.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I know I shouldn't have purchased it, but due to the circumstances that happened, like prior to that, I knew it was wrong. I know it's wrong. I don't have a permit, or I don't have a clean record to purchase one. So I knew it was wrong, but at the time I just felt angry. I felt confused, frustrated, and I felt that that was I felt I had to protect myself, but it was wrong all around. The way I was thinking, my thinking pattern was totally wrong all around. Like at the time, so it's no excuse. I really have no excuse for that, but just taking responsibility.
Right, and all anger, frustration, confused, those are all the reasons you shouldn't have a firearm. Even if you were allowed to carry one, those would be all the wrong reasons to have a firearm.
Yeah.
Right, that's when they're used inappropriately, or, to create disaster and harm. And the other thing that which jumps out to me about this case, which I don't want to keep saying how disappointing it was to read, but it sounds like your girlfriend was very supportive. You had your girls quite a bit.
Yes,
You had good relationships with their mother.
Yeah.
To me, it seemed like a nice home life. You guys communicating and parenting well. Good relationships. So, this.
I pick my kids up every day. I'm very involved in their life. I go to parent teacher. I'm trying to be the best father, I can at the time, and I felt I needed this year and a half, or this time to again reevaluate my decisions, especially because those are the ones who matter the most to me, is my girls, and being away from them is like, I have no words to explain how I feel about that, especially when I talk to them every day. They ask me when I'm coming home, when is this gonna end? And I tell them, I apologize to them every day, it's my fault that I'm here, I could have done better. I could have chose a better route, but hopefully when I come out, I could show the community and my family that, I could do a total of 360,
Well, we can be hopeful. But you have the ability to make that happen.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Hope is good, but you do have the ability to make that happen, to live a better life. You said you were going to NA and AA while you were at the facility. How often do you go?
I go as Mondays is AA and Thursdays is NA. I go each session. I haven't been going for the past few months, but I attended for a good 2 to 3 months, and hearing people's testimony and trials and tribulations, I'm like wow, it kind of opened up, and I applied it to my life, and I'm like, wow, people really have it bad sometimes, and some people that I've come in contact with and hear their stories, like, wow, I really could have did better than, because they had a bad had a bad hand dealt to them, and they overcome that. So I'm like, damn, well, I could get myself back into the community and overcome my trials and tribulations and my decision making, and I applied it to my time being here, and I'm like, I felt I needed to hear those certain people's stories to have an eye opener for me, and I felt it helped me a lot.
Right, well, there's two sides to that coin. Is one, you're listening to the stories for the people that you were selling drugs to, right? The people that struggle with addiction in the
Yes.
community, and you're one of those people helping to fuel that their addiction and that chaotic lifestyle, that dysfunctional lifestyle that they're living. But the other thing is, you were using marijuana and alcohol in the community?
Not alcohol like that, but marijuana, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, I'm wondering, were you able to recognize yourself in any of that? Because marijuana is a drug. It inhibits people's ability to make good decisions, be productive.
That's what I said. I even stood up and I told him, like, I have a problem with smoking marijuana frequently on a daily basis, and using any type of drug is you have an addiction or a problem. I know in my head I'm thinking, oh, I'm just smoking marijuana, it's nothing, I can control it. But me hearing what's going on, I was totally wrong. That's why I said I used it as an eye opener. Like, wow, using marijuana or doing cocaine or doing heroin, it ain't different categories. It's drugs is drugs, like you said. So it's like, it definitely was an eye opener.
You did the Voices program, which is a good program to do.
Yes, ma'am.
You've gotten something from it.
Yes, ma'am.
Fortunately, you were unable to get into addiction services. Have you had a job at the facility?
Yes. I had an AM janitor's job, and as you can see, I had prior to that, I had a Class B ticket. I had a confrontation with one of the lieutenants. She was trying to blame me for a stinger or a pot, and I was just explaining to her that it wasn't mine. You got the wrong. It was by my bunk area, but it wasn't mine. And me and her, she was like, just, it was kind of a little like argumentative. I should have just take the situation, but I was just trying to plead my case and plead my story, and she wasn't hearing it. So I ended up getting the Class B, and she moved me from the unit. So I lost that janitor's job. But I reapplied, talked to the counselor, and he put me on the list for another one. Mm-hmm.
So that brings us to your two disciplinary reports. I mean, you explained the first one that you had for the contraband causing disruption. And then you had a fighting ticket about a year ago. How does, you're an older guy.
Yeah.
I would think you would want to be staying out of the nonsense. How do you get into a fight?
That was difficult. I was trying to avoid it, but I was being attacked by several inmates, so I had to defend myself, or and what can I do in that situation? I try to be the bigger person. I'm not violent. I'm not a person that goes out looking for trouble or try to be in the mix of everything. I stay to myself. I try to have a non-disciplinary time being here, but I had a confrontation with one guy, and a couple other guys joined in. I was by myself. I had to, I felt my back was against the wall, so I had to defend myself.
it's kind of a common thread. You lose your job, you feel like your back is against the wall, so you start selling drugs, you're getting in conflicts at the facility when you should really be setting the example at the facility. You're a little older, you got time in the community where you didn't have any problems.
No,
So, I go back to,
well, the fighting ticket happened first, and then after that, it was, I don't have, I try to be, trust me, I talk to other inmates, I encourage them, I tell them to come down to NAAA, people come to me and talk to me, vent to me, I try to give them the best solution, I try to be, a positive role model in the facility, in the unit. I don't be, somebody have an issue or somebody have a confrontation, I try to, tell them to think about it before you act, if you got like parole or any type of community release, like, think about your family, think about your future. Like, I try to be that positive role model. I try to help other inmates too, make a good transition too. I don't be, encouraging that negative energy at all,
it has been a year since you've had any troubles. So I do understand that. You have good support in the community. You want to release and live with your father. And there's a letter in there for you to have a job at Miessau.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. My wife spoke to the warehouse manager and he said, well, upon his release, tell him to, fill out the application and call him. So it's a guaranteed job, I have my online restaurant business. I had started before incarceration, and I want to keep it up when I get out. I have my father. He's not doing too well. I just want to be there. I want to be there for my kids. My daughter is in the middle of her junior year. She's about to graduate next year. I want to be there for that. She needs her father to be there. I just want to show them, like, everybody makes mistakes, but they could change and transition. Like, as you can see, like my record, I'm not a violent person. I'm not trying to come to jail my whole life. Like, yeah, when I was young, I made bad decisions. I was wrapped up in the wrong crowd, but as I got older, I see, like, when I had my first daughter, I was like, I got to change. I got to be in my kid's life. I don't want to, my daughter's raised without a father or just one parent. Like, I don't want them to be a part of that type of, that lifestyle. So I try, I'm not perfect. I try to be the best father I could, be the best person in the community, but, again, it's just all wrong decision making. And
Mr. Henry, you were raised in a single parent home. Your father did it. You say it. He did a great job.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
He worked hard, set a good example.
Yes. And that's my main.
And he's still helping you out by offering and agreeing to sponsor you.
Yes, ma'am. And that's my major letdown, especially because I'm family orientated, man, and I love my family and I love my kids, and this incarceration really did something to me. Like, I have to get out there and I have to do better. It ain't I'm gonna try, or I hope. I have to. It's a must to me. I tell myself it's a must because I'm not making my daughters raised like in a single parent home. Like, I'm not gonna make them follow the same footsteps I followed, like I was in. So it
sounds to me like your girlfriend and your mother is holding down the fort out there. Raising your children. And, I would say to you, hope is not a strategy. You need to have a plan to move forward in a productive way. And it's clear that you can do it. Why you why you step back into selling drugs is kind of crazy. And getting a job at Bizzuto's is a good get.
And that's not, I'm not gonna stop, that's not where I'm stopping. That's just to get my foot on the ground, just to get me going, have some income, get me out the way. But I'm gonna aim higher. I'm gonna aim higher for that than just a job at Bizzuto's. I got a whole plan. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
I said Bizzuto's is a good place to work.
Yes, it got good benefits. Yes, you could rise in the ranks and move up the chain. But
and
that's
give opportunity to individuals like yourself who come out and need a break. Need someone to give them take that chance.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I'm
grateful for that. I'm grateful. I told my girlfriend, that I appreciate her putting in the legwork and the footwork to make sure I have work when I get out. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. And the other thing I would say about that is that she put herself out there.
Yes, ma'am.
She's been working there for a while, so she put herself out there vouching for you.
Yes, ma'am.
As did the supervisor that wrote the letter. So you have some goals to go back to school, fix your driver's license.
Yes, ma'am.
What else do you think would be helpful for you to be successful in the community?
I feel I should I should continue certain programs I attended in here out there to keep me on the right track, to keep that information in my head, in my head, so I won't, because like you pointed out, I had a good gap of where I was doing good, and then I fall right back into the same thing. I felt I was straight away from the positive, so I feel I should still attend certain programs, still attend certain things in the community to keep me on the right track, keep me thinking, making the right decisions.
All right. There's a lot of reentry programs that provide support, right? Not just job skills, but just everyday life skills support.
Yeah.
People to kind of bounce things off of.
Yeah, that's when I was talking to my brother. Oh man, I forgot my brother is my younger brother is one of my, it might sound funny, but I look up to him because right now he's about to graduate Central he went for mechanical engineering, and he's such a smart young man. I'm wow, and when he went to the same high school I went to, and he was all state, he was an athlete, and I was the total opposite. And I'm like, if I would have followed the path he did, I would have been not in this situation right now. And he kind of inspired me a little bit. He about to be a college graduate. He got an internship at Pratt and Whitney, and I'm like, bro, I'm so proud of him and what he's doing. And I told him, bro, it's I feel bad because I could have been that, and the transition he took, I'm like, I should have been on that path. But at the end of the day, he inspired me to do better with myself. So that's why when I get out, I probably, he make me want to go to college. I'm 39. I'm like, if you could do it, bro, I could do it on the same scale too. So I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing in jail right now. And like you said, my father didn't raise me like that. He always preached education. He said, you're not going to be nothing without education. Leave the streets alone. And again, I was following the wrong crowd, making the wrong decisions. I was very rebellious. I wasn't listening, and he told me my future. He said, you don't listen, you don't go to school and be positive. He said, it's only one road. You're either going to be in jail or you're going to be in the casket. And he was right. You know, like this, I've been repeatedly coming to jail. I try to change, but again, I started falling back in the same transition again. And I just want to prove this time, like, I could really do that. I have to, because I can't come back to jail. I can't distance myself from my kids and my family again. Like this was it. This was very like hurtful, and they suffered a lot.
Well, you know, the sentences I'm looking at your criminal history, the sentences are longer and longer, right?
Yeah.
So when you were violated on the gun charge in 2010, you got 18 months. Now you're doing 3 years. If you're back again, it'll probably be 5 years, 10 years. You get another gun charge, the ATF might pick the case up, and then you're going to federal prison. I mean, those are really your options at this point.
And
But anyways,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, Mr. Henry, I hear change. I hear you
Yes,
thinking in a mature way that a 39-year-old father of two should be thinking. Somebody who is well-spoken, obviously able to hold down a job. There's no reason why you can't work a regular, legitimate employment.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, and be a productive member of the community. There's just no reason for it. So I leave you with, you know, if you review your criminal history, you'll see where this is going.
And I want my criminal history to stop here. I want to be. I am gonna stay out of trouble, and I'm going for a pardon. I'm going for a pardon. I don't even want this on my record.
One step at a time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One step at a time. And I think they probably talk about that in so much more elegantly in NA and AA. And it applies to life in general.
Yes,
you know,
ma'am.
The slower you go with the steps, the stronger the steps are.
Yeah, you're right.
One step at a time. All right, thank you, Mr. Henry. Ms. Turner?
So, Mr. Henry, I was listening very carefully as you spoke with my colleague, and, you know, it really does appear that you want better for yourself.
Yes,
But I'm
ma'am.
going to remind you of something. Back in 2007, when you got your first gun conviction, you told
Yes, ma'am.
probation that you were done with the streets.
Yes, ma'am.
So, you know, it is a journey. You can't compare yourself to your brother. You're two different people with two different life stories.
Yeah.
With some commonalities, but you know, there's a reason that you've taken this journey, and I really do hope that you will do better for yourself and for your kids. You know, when you look at it, sir, your first conviction was in 2003. You were sentenced for these crimes in 2023. That means you have a 20-year criminal history and you're only 39.
Yes, ma'am.
So that should give you some pause. You know, something more to reflect on, as you said, reevaluating yourself. When you were sentenced for the gun charge back in 2007, I don't believe the state had the deadly weapon offender registry. But you, with this case, now have to appear on that registry for 5 years.
Yes,
Has
ma'am.
anybody explained the registry to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's job number one when you walk out of the facility, is you get yourself to the state police and you take care of that. Because
Yes, ma'am.
you need to understand, sir, that if you violate that obligation, you could serve another 5 years in prison. And you're going to be
Yes.
going out, you know, late 40s. I mean, so,
I'm not trying to violate that statute of, violation or,
but it's not
honestly,
about
ma'am,
trying, it's about upholding the obligation.
yes, ma'am.
It's a different way of thinking about it.
Yes, ma'am. Honestly,
That's the way of
if-
holding yourself accountable.
yeah, for, I don't even like guns. I'm not a violent person.
Well-
I don't try to conflict harm on other people or anything.
But tell
It's-
me, when you got robbed, why didn't you report it to the police instead of going out and picking up a firearm? You knew who robbed you?
No, he had a mask on.
Okay. Did he rob you because you were a drug dealer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that speaks volumes. So how long were you a morning janitor in the facility?
No longer than a month. I just
So what
before
were you
the,
earning as a janitor?
huh?
What were you earning? What did they pay you as a janitor?
I think it's $14.60 every 2 weeks.
There in the facility?
Yeah,
$14?
yeah. I think it's $1 a day.
All right, and minimum wage now in Connecticut is bigger than that. So there might be a process in this journey, Mr. Henry, where you just have to humble yourself and take a minimum wage job.
No, I have no problem doing that.
But I'm saying it, like, if you're working there in the facility for, dimes a day,
Yes, ma'am.
keep that in mind when you look at job ads and you think that they're just not good enough for you. Uh-huh.
Yeah, if I could
No,
work
what do
at that. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
No, it's the delay in the system. So what do you know about parole?
I know that your parole is very strict, that you have to follow the guidelines on your stipulation that you stipulated to follow. You gotta uphold the job. You gotta
All that sounds like probation too, but parole is different than probation. Can I talk to you about that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you're right. Parole is a higher level of oversight, but it's not just about holding you accountable. It's about supporting you being successful in the community.
Yes,
They don't
ma'am.
want you violating. They don't want you coming back to prison. They have access to programs and services that can help you, but you have to build a relationship with your parole officer and talk to them, especially when you're starting to struggle.
Yes, ma'am.
If you're starting to worry about your job or housing, talk to your parole officer. I know you want to go live with your dad, but you're a grown man, and if things start to get tense, talk to your parole officer. They can help you with programs and services, stuff that you might not even know about.
Yes, and I'm willing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm glad to hear that you're willing. You've done well on community supervision in the past.
Yes.
But, this would afford you, if you were granted today, about a year of discretionary parole before you start 3 years of probation. And I think it could be a good stabilizing force for you, but not if you're going to waste everybody's time and spend it avoiding being accountable to your parole officer. And you need to understand that the difference is that parole officers have arrest powers.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you violate the conditions of your parole, you're brought back to the facility. And you have 4 years of this sentence over your head, so you could be made to serve those 4 years if you violate. Okay?
I'm not trying to do another day, man.
I know you're not trying to, but you have to plan to do better. So, I'm glad to hear that your sponsor is in Torrington. I think it's good for you to get out of Waterbury because you are a known drug dealer there. All of your convictions are out of Waterbury.
Yes,
So,
as my father, my father, when I spoken to my father, he said you need to leave that city alone and turn over a new leaf and get away from what keep drawing you back into the same situations. Like he said, just leave it alone, come live with me.
I'm not sure that it's Waterbury drawing you back in. I think it's you making the choice to take the easy road. And you selling drugs to other people, their kids are harmed, and you're trying to do it to support your own kids. So it's just bad karma all the way around because, you're putting out bad energy in the choices that you're making, and it's that whole good intentions, bad choices, right? You're trying to help your kids, but you're harming society. When your father was interviewed for the pre-sentence investigation, he said about you that you're a brilliant kid, but he couldn't get you to see your own worth.
Yes, ma'am.
I hope you can find a way to see your worth, even if it's through the eyes of your kids. I'm going to give you a little bit of insight. Do you need a minute?
No, I'm all right.
To me, that statement is a statement of love. He just wants better for you. And he sees that you get in your own way. So I did read, as you told the parole officer, that you want to apply for a pardon at the age of 45.
Yes, ma'am.
So that, you got to finish your probation before you apply. But the one thing, if somebody, we all sit on those panels and review those applications, it's really important that somebody such as yourself, who's been causing all kinds of harm out in the community with the crimes that you've committed, is giving back. So you need to think about ways that you can volunteer, you can help other people in your community as a way of making amends, right? Why'd you stop going to AA and NA in the facility?
I got those infractions and, from certain situations that's what's happening out in the community with my family, I kind of got discouraged.
But that's when you need that recovery community the most.
Yeah.
When you're struggling. So you've mentioned a couple of times this online restaurant. What are you talking about?
Oh,
look at your whole face just lit up.
I got this because I like my other hobby. I like cooking. I'm a good cook, so I'm gonna try to apply that to turn it into a business. I got this restaurant called Little Jamaica that I'm gonna be cooking American and West Indian cuisine. So
does that restaurant exist now?
No, I did a test run before when I was on 24-hour confinement, when I was out on bond, when I was fighting my case. and I did it through like Facebook and Instagram, and it was going good. So I did like a little test run to
So
see
you were
how.
cooking out of your own kitchen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you have a Serve Safe certificate?
That's I got that. I got it right here, written down on all the need to do list for my business. I got a safe serve. I got a culinary. I need the vendors, and I got equipment. I got equipment. I need like gourmet warmers. I need
So you have a concept of a business plan.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just remind you what my colleague just said to you, one step at a time.
Yeah.
Don't get so ahead of yourself. You could really put away some solid savings working at Basuto's.
Yeah.
Continue to develop your plan.
Yes, ma'am. I was going to utilize the job to help me buy equipment and to help me get the LLC, because I know I got to go to City Hall and get my tax ID and all of that going. But
Have you ever worked at, gone to a reentry center?
Yes, I think it's on Bishop Street in Waterbury, the reentry center. Yeah, I know where it's at.
People there that are gonna be able to help you start a business the right way.
Yeah, and I told my brother that's the first one of the first steps of me, other than working. That's one of the first places I'm going when I get out. Is I'm going to the reentry center. I'm trying to get my OSHA 10, my OSHA 30, whatever training and job skills I need to get a better job or to move up the scale. That's what I'm aiming for.
When we look at those pardons applications, we're looking for stability. So a lot of frequent job changes doesn't look stable. It doesn't look stable to your next employer either. If you're, changing jobs every 4 to 6 months. So consider the reality of what you have, you can make work.
Yes, ma'am.
My last question, Mr. Henry, do you feel like you, at 39 years of age, are able to ask for help when you need it?
Yes, ma'am. I'm not too proud or have a pride issue. I will, like you said, I would love to work with my parole officer. Any type of help he could provide or steer me in the right direction, point me. I'm willing to work. I'm willing to transition over.
Your parole officer could be a woman. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Henry. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
So we've learned a lot about you during this interview, and you definitely presented differently than you do on paper, which is a good thing, because as my colleagues have stated, there's a lot of serious issues here. And I know that you identified yourself as nonviolent, but we've had drugs, we've had guns, we have, ammo, we have live rounds. And, from a public safety aspect, one of the things that we struggle with is, are you going to re-enter society and the community, and are you going to pose a risk to the community as a whole? So we've talked about your father, we've talked about touring, but your significant other and your daughters, where are they?
Their residence is in Waterbury.
Okay, so I have some concerns about, that piece of it. And again, I don't want to make this a negative line of questioning, but when we meet people, as we're talking to you, we've had, possession with intent to sell. We've had people who have had drugs in their car during a car stop. What you had was literally a drug enterprise where dozens of items were inventoried when they raided your house and your car. And it wasn't just the Waterbury Police Department. There was the Gang Task Force, there was Vice and Intelligence Division, There was the FBI's Northern Connecticut Gang Task Force. There were state police. So that's a huge amount of public resources to handle what is a risk to the community. And my colleagues have talked about the drugs that are in Waterbury. I am sure you're aware that this is a serious problem here. So just by changing your zip code from here to Torrington, but still having connections here, I need to feel confident that you're on the right path. And throughout what we've read, there's been these glimpses of great things that you're doing. I do believe that you're a good dad. I believe that you're probably a good significant other and a good son and a supportive brother. But then there's these drop-offs. You know, you've had non-compliance issues with like anger management when you were at Catholic Charities a decade ago. The NA and the AA issues of I went, then I didn't go. And so to me, the best analogy that I can make for you is that it appears that you're driving a really nice car through a storm and you're not using your windshield wipers. And sometimes it makes you not know where to go, where to take a turn off, or where to ask for help. And I see all these really good pieces. And, you know, the business that you talked about is really important because those have really picked up with popularity in the last 3 years since COVID. There's been a lot of changes in state laws about what's called the cottage industry business, typically run out of a home or as a co-op. And I would encourage you to use your time based on wherever you're going to settle, whether it's Waterbury or Torrington. There's different rules. There's different rules within different health districts. That's a really positive use of your time to create and flesh out that business plan. But also to think about, you know, the volunteer opportunities, sharing your talent, culinary or otherwise, with the community. Because I do believe you owe the community a debt based on the activity that has occurred. But I'm going to echo what's been said. You have a lot of priorities. You have family priorities with an older father. You have 2 daughters that you want to be in their life. You have to get a job. You have a relationship that I'm sure you want to keep. I really encourage you to become a list maker because there's a lot of things happening here. And it seems to me that your success is going to be based on your commitment to that list and those goals and not just having them all over the place. We want you to be successful, but all of these pieces are like having a bunch of balls in the air and we don't want to watch them drop. And that's on you and what you're going to take out of this period of incarceration and what you're going to bring back to the community in doing so. So I do wish you some very good luck with all of your different endeavors. I think you have the beginnings of something that could really set you on a good path for the rest of your life.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. So, Mr. Henry, we are all done with our question portion of the hearing. We'll deliberate and give you our response, our decision in just a few minutes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. So you can just sit there. So, Mr. Henry, I think we've covered a lot of ground, Mr. Henry. The charges, I think he has an appreciation of the seriousness of them. It's his second gun charge. He has 3 years of probation to follow this sentence. If he would be granted parole today, it would be roughly 18 months, give or take a couple of weeks. He does have support in the community, has a sponsor, has a job. We did have a letter of support from his significant other. He's done the Voices program. He wasn't able to do some of the other programs on his OAP, which is unfortunate. Although he did voluntarily for a period of time participate in NA and AA. We talked about his disciplinary tickets. The last one was a year ago. So there's July. July was causing construction. Okay, so I was looking at February and backwards. Okay. So about 6 months ago then. So there's a shorter period of behavior. Yeah. He does have a solid plan and some goals. So based on what I'm hearing today, I do see evidence of offender change. And I would be willing to grant Mr. Henry today. Ms. Turner?
I also am willing to grant, I see a lot of potential in Mr. Henry, and I think he understands the different ways that he gets in his own way, and I think he's genuine in his expression that he wants more for himself, for his family. I think a period of discretionary parole as he transitions could make all the difference.
Could be a benefit. Okay, and conditions, I had standard conditions. Anybody have
I
anything
don't have
else?
anything to add.
Okay. And I was up and down because I was just confirming Mr. Henry's earliest parole eligibility date, which is February 1st, 2025. All right, so in the matter of George Henry, 309763, with a motion to grant parole on or after February 1st, 2025, with general parole stipulations. Do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Congratulations, Mr. Henry. We wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Go out and do all those things you said you would do.
I will. I
One
won't.
step at a time.
One step at a time. I won't let you guys down. I appreciate you.
Good luck.
Don't let
All
yourself
right.
down.
Thank you. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
This concludes the hearing for George Henry, inmate number 309763.